Okay, good evening. The regular meeting of the Richmond Board of Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sandy, if you could please read our mission statement and vision statement and take roll.
Sure. The mission statement at Richmond Community Schools is that Richmond Community Schools we provide a quality education that empowers students to be successful in a global community. And our vision statement is to foster a culture of academic excellence, creativity, and character, ensuring that all students are prepared for success in an ever-changing world. And then I'll go ahead and take roll. Board Member Cunningham.
Here.
Board Member Michaud.
Here.
Board Member Telto.
Here.
Board Member Gillis.
Here.
Board Member Steyer's absent with notice. Board Member Sutton's absent with notice. I am Board Member Fortuna. I am here. We have a quorum. We also have our student representative, Kelsey McNamara, and then Elizabeth Schaefer will be joining us a little bit later when she can.
Thank you very much. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda.
I'm going to make a motion to approve the agenda with some amendments to the agenda. As we had talked at our workshop, I'd like to take the Student Board of Education representative report, move it up to number 8 immediately after the presentations, and then add numbers 9 and 10 to continue on in our agendas, number 9 being superintendent search update, number 10 being bond update, and then making Blue Devil Raves become 11, and then the numbers going on from there.
Because this is just for tonight, the Blue Devil Raves, the moving down.
No,
Or
we
is
talked,
this
remember we
something that-
talked about the
So
student
we're
board
gonna
of
put that right up-
education rep, we wanted to be right after the presentation, so I'm moving that up. And then we talked about wanting to have a superintendent search update and bond update on our agenda until those items are finished, so, you know, the bond through May and the superintendent search until we hire someone.
So we're basically going to have them at every meeting from here on out until we finish up. Any questions?
Somebody needs to
Well, I'll
support.
I'll support it.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Since Ray's not here, we can do this as a, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
What? Can we do it before? Billy needs, let's wait till it's supported, and then Billy, when we go to discuss, we can do it.
Support.
Okay, so was that Margaret?
No.
I made the motion, Sarah.
That's what I'm trying to do. Thank you very much. Okay, Billy, go on.
One change potentially for the minutes of the last meeting, the last regular meeting, upon submitting the certificate of the ballot proposal language to our district council at Truman Law, the attorney recommended a small revision to item 3A, which in the original proposal read authorizes the use of Macomb Daily, a newspaper published in or of general circulation within the district for publication of notices in accordance with election law requirements. But our conversation was that given the closure of the Voice newspaper, which previously served the St. Clair County portion of our district, Truman advised that we did add an additional publication that might cover that area. And so we are asking to include the Times Herald and Port Huron as an appropriate newspaper in general circulation serving that area. They did indicate that this change does not require rescinding or resubmitting the ballot proposal at all. However, if the board is in agreement, then we would go ahead with that addition of the second newspaper.
So there doesn't have to be any kind of vote or anything, we just say, that sounds good.
Yeah, they said that change did
Just the
require,
fact-
just in the, for transparency, so that we know that it will be in the second newspaper in addition to cover all of our full district.
Yeah, that makes sense, since the Times Herald is the St. Clair County newspaper, if you will. Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, our first presentation for this evening is our career and technical education. Mrs. Thingle.
Thank you for having me this evening. If you are not aware, February is CTE month here in the state of Michigan. And starting on February 1st and throughout the end of the month, we'll be celebrating all things career and technical education. And so on behalf of the students and the staff here at the high school, I wanted to share some updates about the program as well as some exciting things that recently have happened. I added the Michigan's CTE vision to the first slide here because I think it's really important that it talks about not only equitable, high-quality secondary programs, but also post-secondary CTE programs, because one of the things that I think sometimes we forget about is that this CTE is not only in high school, and I do have some exciting announcements about some post-secondary CTE opportunities that our students are going to be having here in Macomb County next year as well. So, to start off, in front of you, you do have a draft of a publication or just an infographic that I'm working on. I'm really looking at ways that we can kind of give that one pager to our families or to visitors. And so what I did was gathered some data as well as some pictures and started off by sharing, I just want to make sure that was the first one. One of the first graphics I have on there is the 10-year duplicated enrollment. And what that means is duplicated enrollment means is that if a student is enrolled in 2 programs, we count the number of programs they're enrolled in, not just the student as one. And so when you look at this, we did reach a high point in the 23-24 school year, and people might be worried like, well, why is enrollment decreasing? I wouldn't necessarily say enrollment is decreasing. What I would say is that we're doing a better job here at the high school of making sure students are enrolled in the courses that are most tied to their post-secondary plans. And so in doing so, we might have some students that aren't taking as many CTE programs, but what we've been able to do is really hone in on what they want to do when they get older. And so we kind of have, I would say, right-sized our CTE programs to make sure that a lot of the students that are enrolled in them, while it might be something that they're interested in doing when they get older, we're not just necessarily placing them to place them in a CTE class. So our enrollment is definitely still over 300 students when we're looking at that non-duplicated enrollment, which in a building of under 500 definitely I think is still something to be excited about. Another one of the pieces of data that's on that infographic is something that's new over the past couple of years. A lot of our programs, or most of our programs right now, have switched to Perkins 5 requirements. And what that requires is that all students in the class take a test or they take some sort of credential test or have the opportunity to take a credential test. What I've shown here is the credential successes that our students have earned over the past 2 years. Everything in culinary arts, they take a ServSafe exam. Our marketing, accounting, and business management classes are taking Microsoft certifications. Our computer programming class is taking HTML or Python. Our EMT is taking the National Registry exam, and I will say that for 2024-2025, we do have one student that also earned that credential. They did it during the summer, so it was after I had reported these numbers to the state. But as you can see, in just 1 year's period of time, the growth that we're seeing in all of our programs, the number of students who have earned that credential is growing. We also have programs, our teacher cadet class is working on their credential, and then our TV broadcasting is also, they will be implementing their credential next year. So our classes are all giving the necessary test that they are required to. The teachers get to choose which of the credentials the students are going to test for. So as the CTE director, I give the teachers the autonomy to choose which test, not only one they think would be best for our students, but also based on our advisory board meetings, what our industry professionals are saying our students should have as they leave high school. And so that's something that's really exciting. Another current data snapshot, there's kind of 2 pieces of data, so I'll start with the one on the left. Every year we are required to touch base with 80% of our graduates within the 6 months of them leaving high school. I will say it is really hard to get a hold of 80% of students that have left the building. However, what we do is we ask them questions about whether they're employed, part-time, full-time. We ask questions about, are they currently in school? Are they doing something related to their CTE class? And so the data is a year out. We just collected the data for our 2025 graduates. But if you look at our data for the 2024, this is of the 80% of the students that took a CTE class, 93.3% were enrolled or they were employed part-time or full-time. And then over 70% of those students were seeking education within 6 months of graduating high school. And so again, we gathered that data, and my hope is that every year I'll be able to now start updating this infographic and really tracking what's happening to our graduates within 6 months of them graduating. Another piece of data that I know has been a talking point since I came on board is that all of our students to take one CTE class before they leave high school. And this is honestly the first year that I'm like, okay, I have to pull that data. And of the projected 112 students that will be graduating in the class of 2026, 111 of them have taken at least one CTE class during their time here in high school. And so I think we are literally like one student away from reaching that goal. And so again, the hope is that I'll pull that data for 2027 and continue to track that over time.
Ms. Sable?
Yes.
Did you say that you're required to get that information within 6 months of the?
Yes.
Okay. What happens if you don't?
So if you don't, you will be put on a list. I don't know what the official name is, but you will be required, the state will flag the district, and then you will be required to go to a training and to learn how to better reach out to the students. So it is tied to your funding, and it is something that we are required to do, and we will get a notice. I've never been on that list, so I don't know what it looks like, but the districts that I do know of who haven't reached that 80% threshold, there is like a required training that they go to, and the CPID, which is the Macomb County oversight of all the CTE programs, there'll be trainings and things like that, and you'll have to come up with a plan of moving forward how you are going to reach that 80%.
Bottom line is if you continue,
That's fascinating.
like Andrea said, you will lose part of your Perkins money.
Yes, because it is tied to the Perkins funding,
I
so.
just find that fascinating, that kids don't call you back. You get
Yeah, so we have done, I would say, we have done a lot in terms of really working towards, in the past, we had the parent contact information, and so prior to graduation, what we've really worked on is getting the personal emails and the cell phone numbers of the students, and then really trying to target them directly, letting them know, hey, we're going to be reaching out to you, this is why, and then not only that, but also asking how they want to be communicated. So we did letters, because everything is individually tagged per student, so even though we send a QR code out, they have to type in a 16-digit code that then matches to them. So it's not as simple as like, hey, scan the QR code, but we've done mailings, we did text messages, we did personal emails, we did phone calls, and then also of the 80%, only a certain number you are allowed to reach out to their parents about. So, but this year we reached 80%, we did not have to contact one parent, we did it all directly with the students. So I think we have a good system that's underway right now. You're welcome. So again, data that I'm hoping that we can continue to track over time. The next thing I'm going to talk about, and this isn't all on your sheet, but there are 4 components to CTE education, and I think as I go through these, just to kind of give everyone the overview of what the whole program looks like, it's not necessarily just teachers in our classroom, even though they really are the foundation, obviously, of our CTE programs. But that classroom instruction really is career focused. And I included this picture of Mr. Petz up here. I said he was dressed as Indiana Jones, and someone's like, no, that's not what Indiana Jones looks like. But he dressed the part and came into class and basically did an escape room with his students where they ultimately had to code their way to different challenges throughout the room. And so like, when I say he fit the part, he dressed up, and it was the classroom of doom, and they had to code their way work together. You can see they're all huddled in little teams outside, different computers, and each of them was working on something different. But the key here is that even though that classroom instruction is the students coding, it really was career focused because he really talked about how you have to work together. There's very few careers that you're going to be working in a silo, and so this was a prime example of him taking that academic content, making it engaging, but then also taking that instruction and making it career focused as well. The second part is the laboratory learning, and while a lot of times we think of laboratories, we think about a science laboratory. For a lot of our courses, culinary obviously is the kitchen, but this is a great example of our TV production class. They were working on their videography skills, and they were just in the hallway, and they were talking about this is our lab right now because they were doing skits and just learning different camera angles. And I think the big thing with the laboratory learning, whether it's in the culinary kitchen, in the EMT classroom, or in just a quote-unquote regular classroom, is that it really is project-based learning, and it's having the students work on their skills and develop their skills through projects. And I think that is what makes CTE really engaging for our students, is situations like this. The third component of CTE programs is work-based learning, and I'm going to talk about this briefly towards the end of the presentation, but work-based learning is something that is required for all of our students to participate in. It is something that at the end of the year I report to the state, and I have to report how many experiences each individual student has had throughout their time in the class. And so with our work-based learning, it's everything from career awareness, so that could just be a speaker coming in and sharing information about the field. It could be students going out into the field. It could be students running the cafe. All of those are varying degrees of our work-based learning that happens in our classrooms. And again, it's a key component because part of it is that they want the students to have a deeper understanding of the careers, and what better way to do that than side by side with professionals. And so this is something that it's not optional. All of our students do it, obviously to varying degrees, but it is a third component of our CTE programs.
So Andrea,
Yeah.
how many hours do they have to, is it hours or is it?
No, it's not hours, it's just experiences. So if they have one experience, then there's all different letters that each of the experiences stand for, and then so I report to this. So career awareness is kind of like the foundation.
Right.
So that would be a presentation. It might be going to a community college and learning how to get involved in the career. Something like that, which is what most of our students at the foundational level, at the bare minimum, get would be the career awareness. But it's not, it's just experiences. There's not like a time frame for
And
it.
there's not a number?
No, the minimum is just one. Obviously, we want our students to have as many of those experiences as possible. And then again, depending on, some of our field trips that our students go on that are optional, they will go. And so we keep track of all that. Some students will have 7, 8, 9 of those letters next to their name. Some will just have the 1 or 2 experiences that the teachers bring into the classroom. You're welcome. And then the last component is leadership. And this looks different depending on the program. I have a picture of our DECA students right there. DECA is through the marketing organization, or really through any of our business classes, and that is an actual well-established program that almost all business classes in high schools participate in. But leadership can look different. Our culinary program is really working on the leadership of our second-year students. They're actually working on a project that they're going to launch on Wednesday, which is their first catering job. They are catering lunch for all of the elementary school staff. So they did everything from planning the menu to promoting it to take the orders. They are orchestrating with the maintenance department about transporting the food safely over there, the setup, the takedown. So in that role, again, those couple of students that are in that second year of the program, that in itself would be a leadership opportunity. And really the goal here is to just develop skills that they'll be able to use in the workforce. Sending an email, reaching out to the building principal and asking for permission to do this. So all of those things really help develop their leadership skills, whether it's through an official organization like DECA or it's just different things that the different teachers are doing within their classroom. So a couple of upgrades. Obviously, every year we do receive funding from the state based on our previous year's enrollment. So this year we have over $140,000 that we are able to spend to put back into our CTE programs. We are well on our way to spending that. Sometimes I have to remind the teachers, okay, I need your list, what else do you want? Because there is just, the opportunity for them to be really creative. So just a couple of the things that we've already purchased this year. We did purchase a 30 laptops and cart for that Perkins 5 credential testing. And so what ultimately the teachers will be able to do is that they'll be able to take the computers, a lot of the software that's needed for these tests through ServSafe and through Certiport don't run on the district Chromebooks or laptops that the students have. And so we were able to purchase nice, high-quality HP computers that the certification credential testing will be able to be done on. And so with that, our culinary programs, marketing, finance, and business management will all be able to test in the classroom this year. So we're excited about that. And then radio and TV broadcast, they have their own set of computers for that, but ultimately if the program grows and they need more, they obviously would be able to use that card as well. One of the other things, the computer programming students, they purchased drones, and so as part of that escape room, what Mr. Petz had done was the final room that the kids had to code themselves out of led them to the closet where the drones were. And so that was kind of the golden ticket at the end of the path that they went on. But through that process, they were able to learn how to get the drones, and then they're also learning how to computer code them, which a lot of the students are excited to learn about. Our radio and TV broadcasting, I actually just sat at the advisory board for that last week, and we talked a lot about radio and how now, even though the title is radio and TV broadcasting, a huge part of broadcasting is podcasts. And so we have purchased equipment to have 2 podcast booths that we are going to be, there's an open office space off of one of the classrooms that's available that's right near that area, and so we're going to be putting the equipment in there and then hopefully getting like voiceover and podcasting going with our students. So we bought equipment for 2 of those to be implemented. If you didn't notice when you walked in, we have a nice new sign for the Devil's Den for promotional advertisements. One of the things, especially when we open for conferences and other, homecoming, the signage outside. And so we got an all-weather sign. Right now it's obviously inside, but we're hoping that when we open for outside activities, they'll be able to put promotions, 20% off, come in, this is what we're selling. So that's exciting there. And then also as the culinary arts program develops for next year, which I'll talk about in a second, one of the things they bought KitchenAid mixers, but then also sushi making equipment and tools. And so they're really looking to expand kind of the run-of-the-mill, not just soup and salad, but getting into some more, different types of culinary units that the students will be able to take part in learning about.
Ms. Abel?
Yes.
The podcast part of that, does that all still fall under Jason Robbins, like it's still his
Yes.
ability?
Yeah, so it will all fall under there. The competencies are really broad in a lot of, or really in all of our programs. They used to have a list of like 100 things that you had to cover, and a lot of the programs now are going down to 12, 15, 20. So they're very broad, which lends itself the ability to really be tailored to meet the needs of the students. Radio and TV broadcasting is switching over to the new competencies next year. So the teachers are going to be meeting in March at the county level and are really going to be looking at, okay, where is this program going based on the state requirements? And I think what we're seeing now, and definitely what a lot of our conversation was, is that it's going into that digital age of very rarely are people going into radio, but even a lot of people that are going into radio are doing it from their homes, or they're doing it from, studios. A lot of people aren't going into a radio studio anymore. So we're hopeful that that will add to kind of just the broadness of the program and what students' interests might be. So what's next? Just a couple of things that we're working on or have worked on. We are piloting the new Advanced Placement Cybersecurity program next year. So Advanced Placement, the College Board, is debuting this course next year. I have completed the paperwork and have submitted for the CTE application for the course. And so the hope is that not only will the course run as an advanced placement, but it will also run as a CTE course. And so that will be Mr. Petz, who is kind of the one that spearheaded that. He brought it to me based on the students. So he took students in his computer programming class last year to a cybersecurity summit in Novi that was hosted, and the kids were really enthralled in what the topic of cybersecurity was. And so we're taking this opportunity to offer this to our students. We think that we'll have a wide range of individuals that are interested. So we're excited to debut that next year.
And what grades would that be offered?
That is, I would have to double check. I know it's 10 through 12, I believe. I don't think that it's 9th grade. I'm pretty sure it's 10 through 12. The next thing is culinary arts too. So we are working on a separate class for next year that specifically will be held in the middle of the day. So culinary arts is really one of our only programs where there's not a second level. We have it in TV broadcasting, we have it in marketing, and so the hope is that the students that have already completed the ServSafe exam, if we're able to bring them into a second year class, they already will have the skills and the certifications for us to open the Blue Devil Cafe earlier. Right now, the hurdle we have is that our students have not yet passed that certification credential, so they're testing in the end of February, beginning of March, and so that's what is delaying the opening of the cafe. And so the hope is that by creating a separate section of our advanced students, that they will be able to come in and get off the ground running, and that we're looking at a fall opening because they'll have their certifications already at the start of the year. And
I'm sorry, really quick on that. So currently, we only have the 1 year of culinary arts, so they're meeting all the standards.
yes.
So when you split it, are there going to be any standards off of there? Will they be completers is where I'm wondering.
Everyone will still remain a completer after their first year. The second year students will become Z students, which is advanced work. And so ultimately what we will do is we'll submit a separate syllabus that shows how they're taking the skills that they learned their first year and they're going above and beyond. That's what we're currently doing with like Marketing 2. Our Marketing 1 students complete the course, they're completers, and then we consider Marketing 2 a Z student, and that's where like the Devil's Den and all of the extra stuff that they do is really the implementation of what they learned. So,
And then in opening the Devil's Den, is that an experience?
the Blue Devil Cafe, yes. So that would be, so if there was an industry individual that was there, yes, that would be more of like a leadership opportunity. So, which we also have to report on. I mean, everything gets reported to the state. So the date that they do the leadership experience, what students did the leadership experience, so that would fall more so under that category. But that's not to say that if we had a business professional come in and shadow or help, then that would be a work-based learning opportunity. So speaking of work-based learning, it's kind of weird how the state has it, but they have work-based learning that's different than the work-based learning I previously talked about. And this is where actually students who have completed a CTE program can go out into the workforce and earn high school credit. So this is the old school, what a lot of people might have known as co-op, but it's different because it's tied to a CTE program. So as of right now, we have 2 students that are out in work-based, or 2 classes that are out in work-based learning, 7 students, 6 in the education general program, and then 1 in the heavy industrial equipment repair program. These work-based learning experiences for credit can be paid or unpaid. We have 1 student that's in a paid experience. We have 6 students that are in an unpaid experience. And this is allowed to take up to 0.5 or no more than 0.5 of their FTE. So right now we have a couple of students that are doing it for 2 hours a day, and then we have some students that are doing it for 3 hours a day. They're earning high school credit. They're overseen by a supervisor, they are graded, they have job descriptions that they update every 45 days. We're required to do a job site visit every 9 weeks. So the state has pages and pages, there's probably upwards of 30 pages of documentation for each student that we keep in these experiences. And so next year the hope is that we'll continue to find placements for students, especially when we kind of don't have anything next to offer the students. So, for example, if we have a student that did marketing 1, they did marketing 2, and they really want to go into that, the goal would be to then hopefully find a placement for them to go and earn some additional high school credit, especially for our students that take classes early on in their high school career. We don't want them, if, hey, I want to go into marketing, we don't want them to stop that, but we also want to make sure we have those experiences for our students. And then something that's not on here that ultimately I just made aware of on Friday is that the county is creating some dual enrollment CTE programs for the first time ever through Macomb County Partnership. So it's never happened before. It's been a joint effort between Macomb County and then Macomb Community College. They will be offering it in HVAC, mechatronics, and welding. So that is something that our students will also be able to partake in. It is going to be at the South Campus of Macomb, so it is a little bit of a drive. But for our students that really are interested in those pathways, we also will now have an opportunity for them to be in a CTE dual enrollment class. And so that's where kind of full circle back to the beginning of my presentation. There's always great things going on at the high school level, and now I'm excited that we're able to branch off into the post-secondary level of CTE as well. And so the final thing, yep.
Sorry, go back to, so these opportunities, like when you talk about the marketing students, how do you find these, or how do they find us to get our kids these opportunities?
So the one that we have right now that's outside, the 6 individuals that are working in Education General are placed within the district. But they do have the opportunity to go elsewhere. They chose to stay within district. The one that is out, I actually was approached at one of the advisory board meetings by one of our industry professionals. They said, hey, we're looking for a summer intern. And I said, hey, I think I have a student for you. We orchestrated the interview right here on campus, so they came, they were able to interview the student right here on campus. They did the summer intern job, and then they asked for the individual to stay on. So they've already reached out to me and said we're interested in another summer intern with hopefully kind of continuing on. But
I'm saying,
most,
is there something, within CTE or the county or something, somewhere you can go and look, oh, we have a kid with marketing, are there places out there? I guess it's kind of what I'm asking.
There's
help the kids.
There's some. There's over the years, there's been software that the county has supported, and I don't want to speak, the name has changed so many times, where local employers could go on there and say they're looking for someone. I feel like the name has switched so much, it really has not gotten any traction. Where I currently find the most success, or where I can even see, I know, for example, having attended the marketing advisory board, if I have a student that wants to do that, I probably could go to that list and make 4 phone calls really quickly. So I think that's that next piece. It doesn't happen overnight, and you obviously want to make sure that that partnership is close, because we don't want to send anyone there, and they don't want to take anyone unless we feel that they're super qualified. So in that regard, that's where I kind of, and I talked to the students and I said, I hope you guys don't mind being the guinea pigs, because could we have jumped in and had 30 kids interested in doing this right off the bat? Yes, but I also want to make sure that we don't grow too big and that we have the paperwork and everything in place. So that to me, because this is very, I would say, very niche for some of our advanced students who have kind of completed all of the pathway work, that this would be something that we would orchestrate with a conversation between the teacher, their advisory board, and then if we couldn't find someone, then I would start kind of tapping out to the community of, does anyone know an accountant that might be interested in taking a student? And we can stay in-house. So there are, like in our business department, there's the opportunity that if we have an accounting student that's interested, they could technically do that within district. So even in district positions, I think of culinary, could go into food service. There are a lot of different things we could offer in-house. And then that also would take away some barriers like transportation if that was an issue for any of our students.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Going back,
Yes.
regarding the offsite to Macomb for the
Yes.
CTE, is that a financial burden to the district or?
So it would be like other dual enrollment programs. So it would ultimately, as of now, our dual enrollment, we pay Macomb tuition, and so it would work. What I would envision, it would work the same way. So because part of their FT is technically happening in Macomb, I'm assuming that similar to early college or SC4, that it wouldn't be any different just because it's a CTE program. The goal really is for, when we looked at the survey, there was multiple courses on the survey. We really tried to identify as a county programs that were in high demand, but also programs that a lot of smaller schools couldn't offer. So things like welding is something where there's a huge demand for welding. It's a high demand career, high income career, but to open a welding program takes a lot. And so since they have the ability to do that, that's where we felt that's where the best needs of the students would be met, is through something like that.
Piece of
And
that,
they-
we went on that
Yes,
tour
they-
We went on that tour.
down
and
at
We did get
Macomb.
to see that.
Yes,
Was
so
the-
that in that new, I think it's like the T building or something like that.
Yes.
That's where the class will be held. And so again, it would be a drive for our students, but that would open up that possibility for them that we currently can't offer them. And it would be, I think they said it would be, they're looking for like it to be a 2-year program, so it would be 9 credits their junior year, 9 credits their senior year, college credits. So they would technically leave with like 18 college credits in either welding, HVAC, or the mechatronics. So to round out our last celebrations for CTE month, on Friday, myself and Billy had the opportunity to celebrate our CTE Students of the Year, as well as our Business Partner of the Year. So the 2 students I identified, Liliana Davalier and Faith Fletcher, both of those students are individuals that are in the work-based learning right now. And so when I talk about, the 2 that I really went to say, hey, listen, I will try and get you what you guys want as a path to your career, but kind of wade through all this with me. And so those 2 are the ones that have done it. Liliana is placed over at the elementary school, and Faith is the one that's in the paid work-based learning experience with our Business Partner of the Year, Tony Maniscalco from Rawhorn Electric. He is a former educator. He was an administrator in Chippewa Valley. He's now in a new profession, and so he really sees the value of working with students and really understands working with high school students. So I think that when he approached me and I said, hey, listen, I will work with you if you can work with me, and that partnership has just really flourished. And so we wanted to honor the work him and his company did for Faith. And like I said, they've already reached out, and he wants to get something set up for another one of our going to be seniors for next year. So on Friday, we got to celebrate them. Part of the presentation is there's over 22,000 students in Macomb County enrolled in career and technical education, and each school was able to honor 2. And so if you think about 21 high schools or so we were able to really be among the brightest and best of career and technical education on Friday. And so I just want to celebrate those students and our business partner, and end CTE month with thank you for all you do to support CTE, and I'm excited to see what else can be done. So, sorry, that was way longer than I thought it was going to be.
Thank you.
Any questions?
No, I just wanted to say, good job on the
Thank you.
website, putting out all of
Yes.
those. I love seeing and you do it like every day now?
Yes,
It feels
so
like-
that's one of my, I kind kind of have them planned out, so I'm good for at least the first couple of weeks, and I think that's an important part of celebrating the students, the programs, and really getting the information out there, because I think too, some of the programs that we have students and parents in the community don't even know about. So not only us sharing it, but then I love when it shows the shared button, because it's like, okay, someone else shared that out there, and I think that's the power in CTE month too, is just letting people know that it's something that not only our school has, but that we're celebrating county and statewide. So, thank you.
Very nice, thank you very much. Okay, our next item on our agenda is our 2-year calendar agreement. Lily, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, so board members, you do have the backup that has a number of documents, kind of all the nitty-gritty details on what the remainder of this 2-year calendar would look like. So as a reminder, we negotiated a 3-year contract culminating in 2028, but we did the 1-year calendar last year and had to come back to the table to complete the 2-year calendar, the remaining 2 years of the calendar now. So part of the reason that the reason that we delayed and at the time decided to go with kind of a duplicate calendar this year as we would have had in past years, or keep it very similar, is that we had a vision kind of collectively and shared of moving towards a professional learning community style of calendar. So essentially what that means is that rather than keeping the focus of teacher collaboration and learning time only on those full professional development days when we have the students not in session at all and the teachers are here doing their learning and collaboration, we really spread that time out throughout the year. With the new calendar, you'll see there are still 2 days that are professional development days, but those are the ones that would fall on what we would consider typically holidays. So like Martin Luther King Jr. Day, the students would be out, and that would still be a teacher work day, and President's Day, like we have coming up this weekend, that would still be a day where the students would be off and teachers would be working. So the concept behind moving to this type of calendar is really so that teachers will have that ongoing continuity of collaboration and learning and training, and when they do have an opportunity to learn something, have a training on whatever it might be, they're able to really kind of come back within a couple weeks and touch back on that. How's it going? Between this time and next time, let's pull together some data, let's pull together some student samples to see if what we are implementing is really working, which we often don't have time to fit into the day when we have, a PD day in November and then maybe not another one until January. So much time has passed. Now, certainly I don't want to say that teachers aren't collaborating and getting together in between. What we do try to do now, and we do kind of have a calendar for, is currently the teachers are able to have some collaboration time during like common prep periods through the day, and so a couple times a month during their planning hour with the other teachers that they share that same planning hour with, they can get together. The nice thing about a PLC calendar is you have 90 minutes of kind of protected time. The students have gone for the day. It's still part of their normal work day, but it's quiet in the building. They can really kind of put everything else aside and concentrate deeply with each other for that amount of time, versus, as you can imagine, if it's, 3rd hour and then kids are coming through and there's all kinds of crazy things, your sub didn't show up, right? Any number of things happen during the day when we're here. That's a very precious time to, use the restroom, as they are humans and have to do that. So, that 50-minute span of time that is a prep period ends up being maybe a half an hour of collaboration time a couple times a month, which is hard to really, accomplish a lot and have a lot of ground covered in that time. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, the concept of moving towards this idea of a professional learning community calendar, so that our teachers can have that time to really just continue to grow and enhance the instruction that they're able to bring to our students. And also we have our REA membership here as well, our leadership here as well. I'll go through a couple more, kind of the details on what this might look like in general, and then if Chrissy or Cheryl want to share anything else that I haven't talked about, I'm happy to have them sharing this with me, because it was definitely a labor of love for all of us over the course of many, many meetings, and our eyes going googly-eyed looking at spreadsheets. So again, as you can kind of see from the backup that you have, they're pretty lengthy documents to really work on. For one thing, ensuring that we have the right amount of student minutes and hours throughout the year. So we know that the state requires the absolute minimum of 1,098 minutes of instruction throughout a school year. This year, so for the 25-26 school year, our students were in for 1,108 minutes, so over that threshold. And with this adjustment in calendar, we actually were able to increase that by another 5 hours, almost a whole day of instruction, to 1,113 hours, just based on, I'll kind of talk through it, that adjustment and kind of shifting of how days are set up, really allowed us to have extra days or extra hours of time for students, so extra instructional time, with really a very, very minimal additional. So the students have an extra 5 hours of instruction. The teachers are teaching about an extra hour compared to what they would be this year. And again, that works out because of things that we can count as instruction. So those professional development days that I was mentioning, even though the students aren't here in front of the teachers, the state allows you to count a certain number of those days throughout the year as instruction, but we're utilizing fewer of those. And actually, spreading that collaboration time, that professional development time over the year allowed us to capture 5 more hours of instruction for the students. So the structure, as far as what these days would look like, these professional learning community days, it would be an early release is kind of the common term for that. So we're used to kind of talking in terms of whole day, half day. This is definitely different than a half day. A half day usually ends somewhere around that 11:30 time frame. An early release day does go a bit longer. So our early release dismissal would be about 1 o'clock, 1 p.m., or to match up all of our minutes, it's officially 1:01. I know for people that like things to end on that dot, that's going to be an annoying one. But again, to make sure that we capture the correct amount of minutes that the students had to be in session and allow teachers that good at least a good 90 minutes of collaboration time. 1:01 was that sweet spot that we landed on. Still a 7:40 or 7:50 start time, depending on the building. So what that allows us to do is still have a very reasonable amount of class periods. So right now on a half day, I think we're at 25 minutes, I believe. This schedule will give each of those 7 classes, 37 minutes. That is reasonable to do an abbreviated lesson, but certainly it gives a lot more time. I know it might sound like, oh, it's 10, 12 minutes. That really does make a difference. And again, Christy and Cheryl can kind of speak to that too if we have questions. But that's, again, you can really plan for something, whereas, not that I think we're, letting things go, but we know it, sometimes half days tend to be a little bit less of an instruction heavy day. It's just the nature of the beast, especially in a secondary room where you're switching every 20, 25 minutes, it's hard to get it going. So that was really important that these early release days would still allow a good amount of hour per hour class time, while still allowing the students to have their 30-minute lunch. And I know in one of our previous kind of early on drafts, we had moved it to a 4-minute passing time on those early release days, but we were able to work the schedule and keep the 5-minute passing times and keep our minutes where they needed to be. So the teachers would have 12 of these scheduled professional learning community days throughout the school year, and they're spread about 2 times a month roughly. Some months where we have a longer break, like Christmas, that kind of thing, there might only be 1 on those days. So like I mentioned, that is really to provide that ongoing structure of collaboration and learning throughout the year, and that consistency without having to start and stop what they were working on. There are additional days that would cover the early release, or that would also be on that early release schedule. Those are days that we already, like this year, would see as half days. So moving forward, anytime the students aren't here all day, it would be this new early release schedule, so that we don't have 3 different schedules that families and students and parents and teachers are all trying to remember and keep track of. It's either a full day or PLC, early release schedule day. Much like now, where we have the full day or half day, half days essentially become this early release 1 o'clock release time. So I mentioned the 12 that are for PLCs and those teacher meetings where the teachers would stay on. And then the other ones are, again, days that we normally would see as less than a full day. So exam days, rather than having 6 like we do currently, we're able to move it to 4 exam days over the course of the year. So 2 at the end of first semester, 2 at the end of second semester, because that period of time is longer, ending at 1 rather than 11:30, we're able to add 1 more exam in on that date. And so then, much like now, the students have three of them, and then, or excuse me, 2 and 2 and 2, as far as their exams, and then the 7th exam carries over on the previous day. So we'll still have that concept of the 7th hour exam would be on a Wednesday, for example, slightly adjusted schedule, but still a full day schedule, and then exams 1, 2, 3, exams 4, 5, 6 the next 2 days. The teachers would still have their couple of records days like they do now, so those would be early release days. And then, of course, we would still have our parent-teacher conference days. Again, those would be early release days rather than half days. So that's kind of where we're capturing some of that extra time for students is, you know, they're a little bit more on those days that used to be half days, but it's that continuity of 2 schedules, not 3 different schedules. I think that, you know, would have been a little difficult for us to have everyone understand what different schedule we might be on at that day. So with those, even with those additional days for professional learning community, as far as an early release or not a full day of school, if we also look at the fact that we have 2 less days where the students are out during the school year for professional development, it is 6 additional non-full days of school. But I think if we really, you know, look at the benefit of what teachers are going to be able to get, and then therefore what the students will gain from those teachers by having this ongoing collaboration, that addition of those early release days hopefully would be worth it. And again, even though there are more days that aren't a full day of school, like I said, we've still captured 5 additional hours of instruction over the course of the school year because of the way we've set up this schedule. A couple other things that I would want to point out that are, you know, nice kind of benefits of this schedule is with the 1 o'clock release, we will still have lunch on those days. So currently, if it's a half day of school, the students, you know, come in the morning, they leave before lunch would be served. Because we would carry on our day until 1 o'clock, we will still run a lunch schedule on those early release days. So every single school day, all year long, all of our students will be able to receive breakfast and lunch at school. And that was something we really felt was important and a great benefit to our community. And I will, anything else, Christy or Cheryl, that you guys have kind of on your list of things that we've talked about over the last few months?
You really covered it well. And this initiative, it actually started before Billy was here. We were already talking about it. The thought of having time to teach the kids, you know, the half days to the early release, that 25 minutes compared to 37 minutes, it really is huge. I think your student reps can even tell you 25 minutes by the time everyone's in there and they actually start, they're leaving. That 37 minutes is a big difference. As teachers, one of our biggest professional gripes is how much instruction we lose because of, we have testing, we have more testing, we have Zello, we have, you know, all these different things come throughout the year. And so we're able to say, look, we're adding time in the season. I have to get through so much curriculum before it's a testing season, and having this added time is huge. I'm really excited about it. I'm excited about the time to work with my colleagues. Really mentioned the common prep meetings. One big problem with those is that it only works at the high school and the elementary. The high school has done a fabulous job of scheduling the prep periods so that their departments are on the same hour. And the elementary school does the same thing with grade levels. In the middle school, because of logistics, 4th grade and 5th grade have common prep. 6, 7, and 8 do not. My PLC during the prep is with PLA teacher, social studies teacher. It takes away the validity of what we can actually accomplish because we're not actually working on the same things. So I'm really excited about this. And I know that there's always questions. There's always, change is never easy. There will be staff members, there will be parents, there will be kids that will say, oh, no matter what you do, when you change it, there's some conflict. We'll work through the bugs. We'll work together to figure them out. This year we just changing the semester end. When we first proposed that, there were teachers who were horrified. And after reaching out, after we finished the first semester, they were grateful. We came back in January, instead of trying to reteach all of September to December in 2 weeks in time for exams, I came back on January 5th and started my new unit teaching, not rereeling, reteaching. And maybe the students, like, is that better for you to have your exams before Christmas?
Yeah, it's hard to like learn all of the stuff and then you have like 2-3 week break and then come back and you have to take an entire, and then like you have 3 full half days of just taking tests after like not being in school for so long. So
And then when you throw snow days and everything.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been a nightmare. Yes. So, but we made that change, and people questioned it, and it worked. And I think we do this, we may have to do some tweaking along the way. Other districts I talk to other districts frequently in my union position. They like it. So yeah, the first year, second year sometimes, it's an adjustment. But to have that time on a regular basis, not go, oh, what were we talking about last month? You know, I hope you're strongly in favor of it.
And one other thing I did forget to mention on my kind of helpful key points is we are working on a way that we'll be able to offer appropriate childcare too for families that are already participating in childcare after school. We are looking at, offering that chunk of time that would normally have been the rest of the school day, so from 1 o'clock to 2:40 or 2:50, having that be something that would be a free or reduced rate for those families that are already participating in childcare, that rely on childcare in that way. We talked kind of creatively about how our staff that are also parents in the district, what that might look like. So we're, definitely have, like Cheryl said, some little tweaks, but we have some ideas on how we will be able to, offer those pieces out and make sure that families have as easy as possible transition into this, which, like she said, it is tough to have a new schedule, a different schedule than we've maybe worked with before. But again, we'll work very closely and get that feedback from families so that we know what is working and, kind of adjust there as need be.
I think we had a meeting a couple of years ago, something about change is good, you go first.
Billy, do we know how many districts are doing this setup?
I didn't pull the exact number, and I know I could credit for us. It's majority of the schools in the central and southern part of the county. It's pretty much standard. Fewer up our direction have. I'm not really sure why that is. I can't answer that, but just because I do know and I have worked closely with a number of the districts. My previous district, a couple ago, we had transitioned, so I was administrator at the time, so did extensive PLC training, which is nice and helpful, so I can bring that. And again, just the knowledge I do have was from, at the ISD, I was working with several districts that were, they are supporting them through their PLC, so I could say it's pretty much widespread, central and southern part of the county, but I can pull that number for us so we have it exact.
Yeah, I know Marysville does. I just wonder how many, this might be the standard, and we're just kind of catching up. I was just curious. I'm curious what our student reps think too, just from like a student perspective, to have no half days.
When you have more early release
Sure,
days.
I
We do.
get that, but I'm curious from their standpoint,
Yeah.
what they would think.
No, me too, but I just want to make sure they have that information before they comment.
I like the fact that we're talking about some kind of childcare, because that is,
Well, can
I
I
know
do what
when
they have
we.
to say first?
What?
I was
I'm
actually
sorry.
asking them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go, ladies. Sorry.
Is this being implemented next year?
I think that's the plan,
Yeah.
is it's voted on. Well, that's why she can be completely honest, right? I mean, you can.
My only thing was just like the exams, like having 3 exams in one day. 2 is already enough for some students, but I mean, that was my only, I mean, I don't see anything.
Can I finish that?
Sure.
So part of our thought with the exams.
Yeah.
One piece is that the current schedule for exams is an extreme amount of time for the majority of the exams that are given. And so, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The other side of it is adjusting, and we will have to adjust the exams. But as we've learned in years, you don't necessarily have to have 100 questions to know if somebody knows something or not. So there would have to be some adjustments in that, but we really thought that 3 more reasonable exams in one day is a feasible thing.
Yeah.
There was a concern that we did talk about, like, we did talk about that last time, like the 3 major tests. And a lot of, we found in talking to teachers, a lot of them are doing more of a project-based presentation type exam rather than a sit-down with paper pencil under questions. So being able to have that time for presentations rather than a more interactive type presentation ahead of time would be smaller.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good point.
I was worried about like the exams too, but during like the project thing, like I feel like a lot of students prefer projects because it kind of the creative side flow more, so I think that's obviously good. From the student, okay, from the teenager perspective, I think we'll have a lot of kids will be kind of upset, like, because we got out at what, like 11, yeah, and now it's going to be 1 o'clock. I definitely think some people will be like, oh, this is ridiculous, whatever. But from like a student perspective, I kind of like it because I feel like the 25 minutes I get in there, teachers have to take attendance. Sometimes like it's not working. Then you have 10 minutes left of class and like, okay, here's a worksheet. Sometimes it has to come homework. Yeah. So then, you know, you're caught up with homework from a half day, which I don't really like because it's like it's supposed to be like an easy day, but I've got homework. So that's like definitely, I do like the thought of like 10, 12 minutes longer. Because when you put it like that, like, it's only like 10 minutes, but in school day, like 10 minutes could be productive time. So I do kind of like the early release compared to a half day.
Even like in my 3rd grade classroom, I think about like, they don't get lunch and they're kind of just like stuck in the classroom all day.
They don't get their special either.
Yeah, no, and like even like Halloween, obviously, like they had a party, but like they're not all half days are like that, where you can just like do a little holiday party. But I feel like that would be really beneficial, especially. I mean, my teacher even talks about it. Like, I think that would even give her more time in general, just to like be more prepared and like even give me time to like to help her prepare too.
Right.
So like that'd be very beneficial.
I also think it could, it'd be interesting to see how it works. It could affect our attendance on early release days, because on a half day,
parents don't send their
especially a half
kids
day
to
where
school.
kids aren't getting lunches, it's a lot easier as a parent to say, you're gonna go spend the night at Auntie Susie's house, and I don't have to deal with it tomorrow. But because it's the longer day, that's missing a lot, and they're eating lunch, so it might help with some of the half day, you don't have to go to school anymore on this day.
And I've always thought that that's, when everyone talks about nothing gets done, free day, I've always felt that that's always been a problem for teachers when parents just don't send their kids because it's a half a day. And so how do you put out a lesson when parents don't send their kids, when early release days are more of a real day, if you will, because it's only that hour, however many minutes left. So that's why I appreciate the early release days as opposed to half days, because that's what parents do. And just my feeling when you were telling us about this, and Cheryl, you're right, how it's easier, high school and elementary with their schedules, but the reality is all schedules, the best laid schedules, anything can happen in a day, a parent meeting, anything like that, where you can't meet in your group. So doing this enables the teachers to be able to have that time and work together and do that. And to me, that's what's so beneficial about early release days of whether it's we're getting more minutes in front of the students, but it's enabling the professional staff to get that professional staff stuff done that you can't, because stuff happens throughout the day and you can't meet in your group. Whether it is everybody's got fifth hour off, something can happen,
Right.
and somebody's missing from the group, so.
Well, and like Cheryl mentioned, it's been a long time coming. I think one of the reasons why now it makes more sense than as it goes, because there has been sort of that gradual, okay, well, we don't have time built in after school or before school, so we'll do our best we can to run these collaborative meetings during the day. And so I think teachers are seeing the benefit too. Those that have a strong group and they really have gotten lucky and they haven't had as much interruption, they really see the benefit of those continuous ongoing meetings and really want that time. So I think that's the difference, is now we've had a good amount of teachers that have seen it and understand how beneficial it really is, and kind of changing that practice.
And the potential for departmental vertical.
Yes,
So
yes.
K-5
Mhm.
math teachers can be working together.
Yeah.
6-12 social studies teachers could actually meet and do something.
So Billy, we were able to keep 5 minutes for the passing time?
Yes, our middle school counselor is apparently a wizard. Miss May, please don't ask me to try to explain.
It's okay,
Trust
I
that
see
it's-
5
yes.
minutes.
We adjusted some minutes around that lunch period. That's kind of where you have that weird flex time, because you have to have enough time built in for 2 30-minute lunches to go on in each building at those times, but we were able to kind of play with that transition time and minutes around the lunch hour to give us those full 5-minute passing times the rest of the day. Yeah.
Into lunches, others are
Yeah.
So we're at 30 right now, we're keeping them at 30 then?
Yes, so contractually, the teachers get a 30-minute lunch, so we get to keep the students at that too.
I mean, it's a little wild to see 9:46 to go to lunch, but.
It is on
I
those
get it.
days, but it's actually, again, at least they're getting a lunch and not lunch that day, right?
They're on the buses early.
Right.
Yeah, some of them
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
And they're getting out at 1.
And we were looking, we were intentional too about, at least for like the younger kids, the ones that we eat lunch, they have their snack too in the day, so maybe it adjusts rather than a morning, might turn into an afternoon snack, but we did kind of look at being intentional for those lower grade levels, which ones were the early, which ones were later, based on what their day looks like. So that was, there was design behind it to be as least of an issue as possible.
So when we pass this, maybe whatever, I think, I believe the biggest issue will be how many days, because parents are going to have to. However, I believe if we sell it with the positives that you've shared, both of you have shared tonight, that I think it'll make a difference. We have to make sure we put those pieces out there.
absolutely.
Any other discussion? Thank you.
This is going down at the next.
Yes, the next meeting we will vote on.
Yes.
Yes, it's the week of
So-
It's the Monday of.
So potentially.
Oh, if it's approved, we could put something out,
We can work on what we want.
a flyer or something.
So that.
Your pitch.
Yeah.
Well, for conferences, you could have something all printed out.
Yeah,
There
that's
it
what
is.
I
Yeah, that's what I think
Yeah.
Cheryl was leading to.
We really.
Yeah.
So not just the calendar itself, but our sort of, like you said,
Our talking points.
Yeah, yeah,
Absolutely.
don't just put it out there because.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, so, yep, I have a couple of these too. We'll get our heads together, Cheryl. We do good work when we do that.
Is it ninth grade orientation that week too?
It's on the second night of conferences, yeah.
So yes. So we could really get it out there. Okay, next item on our agenda is our Michigan Association of School Boards Award of Distinction Recognition.
All right, MASB has sent a release to share tonight. So I'm going to read that from them. One of Richmond Community School Board members has earned an award from Michigan Association of School Boards for 2025 for their efforts to improve their leadership skills, demonstrating their commitment to student achievement and their own continuous improvement. Awards are earned for classes completed in MASB's leadership training program, as well as for conference attendance, years of service, and leadership activities. All boards that achieve and maintain certifications are also recognized. The following, one of our board members is being honored this year. Ms. Candace Cunningham has received the Level 3 Award of Distinction. So MASB's trainings and professional development offerings help board members to keep pace with that fast-moving and complex changes in public education. The hours devoted to this training are above and beyond time that the members spend at their local meetings, events, and reviewing policies and board packets. Last year, they had more than 1,800 school board members participate in the training and professional development workshops. I noted that the MASB distinction reflects board member Cunningham's deep investment in our students, staff, and community. And we also had comment from Director Don Lotruba of MASB stating that he's worked with school boards and public schools for more than 25 years and is always in awe of the commitment by so many of their members. And this will be posted on our Facebook page and website, the immediate, the press release, I should say. And it will also include the website where you can look at the other board information of awards. And I know that the Macomb ISD typically does do an awards night for this, so I'm sure we'll hear more about that soon. I haven't received that information yet. So, congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our Student Board of Ed rep report. Ladies?
For the high school, February is CTE month, and we will be celebrating throughout the month and highlighting our programs to students on social media, as you might have seen already on Facebook. 8th grade orientation is taking place on February 19th, and we're excited to have the students come over for a visit. High school students will be having scheduling meetings on February 18th.
We have a lot of fun new information for the Lee Elementary School. So the Lee Elementary School Winter Formal will take place on Thursday this week, and it should be full of smiles and laughter. Students will gather for a special story time with Mr. Gibson, then hit the dance floor to their favorite songs. There will be plenty of laughter, fun, and even a face painting to add a little extra excitement to the celebration. To top it off, each student will head home with their very own book and some fun treats as we continue to build a love for reading in our early childhood programs. It's going to be an awesome celebration of winter, friendship, and early literacy. All staff were treated to an Out of the Blue event in the staff lounge during lunch. Everything was decorated blue, and there were blue treats in abundance. Building culture and celebrating staff is essential at Lee. We don't have anything for middle school today, but we do have athletics. Varsity cheer won their 22nd BUAC championship last Wednesday at Armada, and they're currently ranked first in state. Districts is February 21st at Armada, if anyone's interested. Boys basketball will host Kingston tonight, and they will host Armada. Jimmy John's is doing some pregame and halftime giveaways for that game. Girls basketball also hosts Armada this week on Friday games, our JV at 6 and varsity at 7:30. Wrestling will host the individual district on Saturday beginning at 10:30 a.m. And then powerlifting will meet this Saturday, the 14th at Crosslands. Yeah.
Well done, Elizabeth, and your cheerleaders.
Yes.
Good job.
Yes. Thank you, ladies. Next item on our agenda is our bond update.
No, it's not, it's a raise.
Did we just flip them? I thought raise
No,
was.
number 9 is super.
9 is superintendent update, 10 is bond update.
Okay, so where did we move raves?
Right now, number 8.
Okay, sorry, we just flipped them. Okay, Blue Devil Raves, here we go.
Nope. 9 is superintendent search, 10 is bond, 11 is rate.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have that down that way.
I don't have it down that way either, but,
Thank you.
okay, someone please correct me.
Okay,
Number 9 is
Number 9 is
what?
superintendent search update.
Got it?
Number 10 is bond,
Okay,
and then 11 is Blue Devil Raves, and then.
okay. I had that.
What's that?
I had it
Oh,
flipped.
okay.
I had them flipped, so my apologies.
Nope, you're good.
Okay, so next item is superintendent search. So I have an update on what has happened this past week. So as of February 2nd, our link on the district website went live. On the 4th, we sent out a calendar and an invite, went out to the following groups: our staff, our board, our community, 5 townships, which included the supervisor, clerk, treasurer, and trustee. The Richmond City, same group along with the mayor and city manager, clergy in the community, the Richmond Chief of Police, Richmond Fire Chief, Richmond Rotary, Richmond Lions Club, Lennox EMS, and the Richmond Historical Society. We also, the superintendent search was posted on our marquee with dates set. Cynthia told me that they will come down as things happen, so they'll automatically come down. So we have dates set to remove them. We also have a notice up on Facebook, our website, live feed, all the calendar, the invitation, and a link to everything, and it was all tested and working on that day. On the 5th, we sent an invitation, was updated for the central office, and a sentence was added regarding the students' meeting. We had a few questions about should we have that on there, so we updated that. Calendar and invitation went out to some additional groups. We went out with our parents, the Richmond Education Foundation. We were working with Margot at the Recs, Richmond Parks and Recs to try to get our seniors. So we're trying to work on that group in our community. We are still working on other, maybe community centers and other groups in our community to at least, if we don't get, because our meetings are this week, we still have that survey out there, so they can take it. Let's see, on Thursday of last week, we added an additional 6 o'clock meeting on Tuesday at 6 p.m. for the community. We had a discussion that we felt 5 o'clock might have been too early for our community, so the gentleman who's running our program is going to keep the 5 so that our transportation people can make that, or anybody else in the community, but he's going to run a second session at 6. So tomorrow, that is tomorrow. All of that is all on the website, so you can look it all up. You can see what times and dates and everything that we have. We updated the marquee to make sure we have everything current, and it's live. And as of today, they had 15 students were involved in a student meeting here, and 3 administrators. And then tomorrow we have kind of an all-day, well, starting around noon, an all-day schedule for the staff, for our parents, for central office, for teachers. That's all set, and again, that's all up on our website. And that's the current report. Okay, Margaret, now the button.
Yes. Well, as everyone knows, the board voted last month that we are going for the bond again on May 5th. And so we decided to form a bond committee that was board-generated idea. And the committee was formed and met last week. And there were board members, staff members, and our interim superintendent in attendance at the meeting. And things we talked about on what we need to do to get people to get out and vote. We believe, well, we know we had low voter turnout. We lost by 500 votes, so we know we got to get people out to vote. We were able to get in the documentation, voter rolls of who voted, and we were able to get the voter rolls of who are our registered voters in our district. And so we know preliminarily that we had 36 staff members who did not vote and 1 school board member who did not vote. So we've got to get that to change. We've got to get our people to get out and vote. So we came up with some ideas. We're going to create a video that we're going to get posted in different spots. We got the signs from the last time. We talked about staff, all staff and board members to get signs in their yard. So I don't know if everybody on the board that had signs from last time, if you don't have your sign, let me know, and I'll make sure that you get another one. And Cheryl Jar has the signs, and she's going to take care of the staff that needs signs. We're talking about getting people to volunteer to go to the different meetings that we did the last time around. One of the biggest things we're doing is what I'm calling voter contacts. We're asking our staff and members of the board if you would commit to taking 25 to 30 voters off of the voter list and be responsible to get those people to vote, so you'd be responsible from whatever date that we get the list out until election day, to get them to vote. That's really important. And so we've asked people to do that, and Lily's going to get that information out to staff, the list of who's registered to vote, the list of people that voted, and we want to make sure even the people that voted, you can put them on your list too, because we sure like them to get back out and vote as well. One of the things we are focusing on this committee is, while we believe we did a really good job of getting the information out, we feel since the voter turnout was low, we feel maybe people thought, oh my goodness, of course it's going to pass. It's not an increase on people's taxes and the needs there, so our focus is going to be really proving what our need is with the video and some public service announcements, if you will. Billy's going to talk a little bit about the state of the district and the idea that's going to happen with that. So it was a decent group of people. I have gotten emails from people that are willing to get voter contact information. They've told me that they're going to do it when the information gets out, and I know you've gotten information from people too. That's my report so far, but full steam ahead, and we're doing it.
Quick question for you. I have my 30 people, I just need to send that list to you?
Email it to me. I'm going to have the master list and just kind of keep track of, who everybody has, so we know who we're hitting, and if we're missing anybody, that we know we can get those people in. But people are going to email me, and I'm going to keep track of it.
I have mine, that's how I spent my drive time this weekend.
Yep. Right.
And like Margaret said, I think that personal touch was kind of what was missing, right? I mean, tons of information, there's no doubt, and the information, the statistics, the numbers behind why this bond is so important are still there, and that hasn't changed. But I think it's those personal stories, right? That's what maybe we didn't offer out before. People can see, okay, size numbers, right? That doesn't mean a lot to some people. But when we really hear the impact that whether students, staff, former students have because of the need in our space that's running out, we're pretty confident that will be the difference. And again, we are looking at the voter rolls. There were many in our school community that voted, but we know there's a much larger community out there beyond just those that are involved in the school on a day-to-day basis. And so again, we want to make sure that we're reaching out to them, and that will be part of that State of the District event will be not only the address and the speech piece, but inviting those that attend to go into the buildings and see where those lack of spaces exist, and again, have folks share their stories at that time and really show what it feels like, rather than just talk about numbers and space. So that's cool.
Can we get a little more detail as to how much this is actually going to cost each household over that period of time?
I do have that. I didn't bring it with me today, but I do have that. I can add that to the next update because I do have that.
And that would be a good piece
And actually,
for
that is
educating.
something that you could put right on the website, because there's a.
Oh, I was going to ask, do we have it back up?
It's not live yet. It will be in the next day or two. I just have to help me change a couple things.
Because I know we've done it before. It's that, what's it called? It's that tax calculator thing, like you can.
Right, you can put in
plug
your.
in if
Your
some-
property or
information,
whatever.
and then it'll tell
He'll
you
figure it
what-
out.
But what this is, it's not costing anything, Candace, it's not
Right.
changing. So really doing something that's really not needed.
It's extending it a little bit longer, isn't it?
No, it's
Yeah.
actually,
For how long it
it's
is.
shorter, or is it?
It would drop off and now it's.
Yes.
Right.
And no, it's not. But and that
It's not
amount
gonna go up, it's
is
just
cents
making it go
on the
longer.
day. Yeah, so the amount
Yeah,
that it would
it's
go
not-
up, like, I don't have the number, but it's.
But it's not
very
costing you any more money, it's gonna go out for longer.
Right.
I think that with the calculator, the perception might be that it is gonna cost that much extra. I think that would be the concern, right? If you put the calculator
Yeah.
up, people
Oh,
might
yeah.
get the
Okay, and
impression, like,
That
oh,
it's
wait, this
costing
is gonna
more.
cost me, instead of it's a no increase,
Right.
it's staying the same. So
Right.
the calculator
Right.
might confuse people.
Right, yeah, that's,
Yeah,
the
that's a
calculator
that's a
is
good
used,
point.
right, when it's, okay, if it's a whatever percent increase, then
Yeah.
you can figure out, but yes, when it's a no increase,
I
it's
think
just a
we
no
just
increase.
focus on
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah. I
I think that's
Great.
right.
Okay, any other comments or thoughts on the bond?
I just want to say, I went to the committee meeting or whatever, and it was brought to my attention, I didn't come up with this, but somebody else said it, and I think that it's a good thing to say. Because I did have a few parents that maybe said that were more in like the athletics and stuff, I'm like, well, it really doesn't include anything for the athletics or anything. And quite frankly, that's not true, and I never really thought about it like this, it's a little bit outside the box, but if we don't have room for the students to come, then most certainly that's going to affect your athletic programs, because then you don't have the pool of kids that you would have if those students came. So, I mean, I just think that that's a good fact to put out there for the athletic people.
Didn't we also discuss the fact that at the middle school with the addition, we're putting a gym area over there, which in turn would allow our, we have athletes, where do you guys practice at for cheer? Is it here?
The oxygen, but the middle schoolers practice like in the same gym as us, like we have.
So they're not even practicing, you know, I mean, some of them are all over the district. So this would give us another place for practices
Yep, absolutely.
for our athletic teams. So,
Well, I think we talked about before, it just, there wasn't enough that was interesting to enough people. Just promoting on space issues is not exciting for enough people to go out, because exactly like what Sandy said, and I know, I feel like a broken record, I've said it a few times now, but that's the reality. It's not an exciting bond, it's a necessary bond. It's like putting a new water heater in your house, nobody wants to do it, it's not exciting. I know Margaret said classrooms are exciting last time, I disagree. My kids go to class, I don't see it at this point. I saw it when they were in elementary school, I don't see it really anymore. They're not interested in the Blue Devil night where we go into their classes, they're like, thanks mom, I got it. They don't want me to go to their classes, so it isn't that exciting. It's the reality. So we have to find a way, like Sandy said, to kind of spin it. I mean, new bathrooms, we should have, those bathrooms here are, I mean, you guys use these every day.
Yeah.
Every time I have to go to that bathroom up there when I'm here, it's gross. They're not fun. That we could be promoting. I mean, that we could be promoting because
Yeah.
they need to be updated.
Yeah, and like the bathrooms, you know, out of the concession stand, all of that, right, yeah, for sure. And then,
Actually, what I said, though, back then, Sarah, was not classrooms being exciting. What I said was, what is exciting is being able to have a place to sit in a classroom and not having your children have to be taught in a portable. That's what I said.
Well, I think you actually did say classrooms are exciting, but I
Well,
100%.
no, I did, because
Yes.
the education that's going on, that's what I was talking about. But
And that's what we
I'm
need to
saying-
focus on, is that trailers could be next, right?
Not only- yeah.
I don't want to
Yeah.
scare people, but
Oh, it's
we
not
have,
scaring,
we
it's
have to
reality.
promote the truth.
It is.
And even though these
And-
things aren't exciting, what could happen if it doesn't pass?
well, higher class, you're gonna have higher, you know,
More
higher
higher
students
class
and classes.
Yes, and Sarah, that's the whole point of this, of when I said we need a committee and the focus of what we're doing, that's the whole point of it. That people didn't come out and vote, mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
So we did an absolutely amazing job of explaining, here's what everything is, it's not gonna cost you all of that.
Yeah.
Apparently that wasn't enough.
That's not enough.
So now, you put us 2 years behind, and we're busting at the seams. Okay, so now let's show you
Yes.
what we have, and let's show you what a portable looks like. So maybe that'll get you to come out and vote.
Yes.
To see that your kid could be in a portable. That's where
Yes.
we're talking, and that's the video.
And that's the video, I know we
Yes.
talked about that.
And the
after
video
this.
will show the bathroom.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean,
I'm putting my little Benny up on my.
Yes.
And that's
Good
the
deal.
whole point. We talked about the state of the district, of having, okay, Billy will do her thing about the state of the district, and then spots. If people want to walk around, okay, they're
Here.
at the high school bathroom, the one that they
Let's
have to
take a look at
close
that
a lot. Okay, with the explanation of what happens there. The classroom at the middle school that has to be conducted on a stage because there's not, you know, that
Yes,
kind of
those
stuff.
are the things I think we need to see.
I see these two sitting over here smirking, so Margaret, please get them on our video
Oh, they're
because
gonna
they're
get the
talking
video.
about, when we said the bathroom, I went, they both.
Yeah, me and Miss Toto, words for exchange.
Yes. Yes. They are correct.
Oh.
And maybe from the student standpoint too, getting all the
Absolutely.
students to go back and
Yes.
telling their parents, like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
this, like, go, go.
The class of 2026, we will have people that can vote, so I feel
Yeah.
like targeting.
We're gonna,
Yeah.
I'll be able to vote by the time I'm on.
Yeah.
So
we're
like,
gonna
with that-
target that group. I know Miss
Yeah.
Zabo's gonna work on that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the thing they have to do in the high school anyways.
Yeah.
They do,
Yeah.
they are required.
You know,
We're
it's-
required to
it's-
offer it, I did
Yes.
clarification, but we're gonna make sure they do.
And then hope you go vote.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Good.
Okay, do we have anything else on the bottom? Thank you, everyone. Okay, next item is our Blue Double Raves. Sandy?
So, yeah, just real quickly, I want to read about the high school band students, Mason and Claire for their first division rating, on their solos at the MSBOA District Solo Ensemble, and then also real quick, the middle school students that also, had a Division I rating at the solo ensemble, and there's quite a few of them, so, Layla, Mary, Tessa, Ron, Zoe, Gia, Aurora, Hayden, and Autumn. Great job, guys.
Thank you. Candace?
No, I'm gonna echo Sandy. That's
Sorry.
it.
Next up.
She took a big fun.
No, it's all right.
Margaret?
Yeah, I just want to shout out to the staff that came to the bond committee meeting, appreciated them being there. Want to give a rave to our Elizabeth and Kelsey, who put together and worked with getting the students to come to that meeting today. Well done, ladies, we appreciate you. Want to rave Cheryl Jar as my very first staff person with her list of 30 people that she's going to take care of. She emailed it to me today, so I just wanted to shout out to thank her as the first one to do it. And that's it for me today.
Thank you. Sarah?
Just to say, kind of echo what Elizabeth said about cheer, they're doing great. I've obviously been to them, watching Emily, but the guys are doing so good. So I'm really excited for districts. If anybody can come out and watch, it is in Armada, so it's nice and local. We don't have a time yet, right, Elizabeth?
I'm just gonna
I
say, do
think
we?
it's 11 a.m. on like CCAM, but that could
Okay.
be very well.
It could like change, okay. So if everyone can find out the time to be there, it's not till the 21st, so we have some time, but I'm very excited.
Something will come out, won't it? So we'll have
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
They can actually post it, like,
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It seems for sure. Okay, thank you. I don't have anything on my Blue Double Raves today. Okay, interim superintendent and legislative update.
All right, I'll start with a few district updates, a few fun things we had going on in the last week or so. So we've talked before at meetings about the Stronger Connections grant that we partner with MISD on. And so for the second time on January 30th, they sent out a food truck for all of our students, K-12, that had either outstanding attendance or improved attendance. Each building had a threshold that the students had to meet. And so we were able to provide those food truck treats, which was definitely a little more challenging this go around because I think we had at least 2 days that turned into snow days. So I think he was like really ready to get here and get rid of whatever he had prepared for us. Another great event a situation that we had a staff member do. So on the 4th of February 4th, Ms. Turpin, our middle school AARI intervention reading teacher, she hosted what's called a learning lab. And so consultants from Macomb ISD and Oakland ISD came to observe how her classroom operates according to that curriculum. So she does training yearly. She did an initial training, and then she has to go annually to have the updated training. It's a very intensive, kind of very rigorous and specific intervention reading program. And so she's been doing it for several years, and I was really proud of her for offering to invite them in. And she said the students were rock stars, and the feedback was really positive. So I thought that was a really great opportunity for her and for her students. So we did hear a lot about CTE already today, but I have one additional announcement. So there's a new grant that has not existed before. Obviously, we know CTE does receive a lot of different funding, but this new grant that the state is offering is called the 61P, and it's almost $70 million, $68.5 million that's set aside to go out to schools that apply. So it is a competitive grant. And what they're focusing on for that one is expansion of current programs or adding new programs. So they kind of look at, they call it the CTE desert, which is interesting because when you hear all the great and you know, practically every one of our students having a CTE exposure throughout high school, there are so many CTE programs that even though we have so many, we still fall within that threshold. You know, again, if you have a school with thousands and thousands of students, you can offer more and more programs, and they hit that threshold. You know, we don't have that many students, and we don't have that many places where we could offer them. So even though it seems absurd, we still fit that criteria of being a place where they see it as you could offer more. So the good thing about that is there's a good chance that we could get some of that funding. So Ms. Abo is currently working on, you know, just writing up that grant. It came very, very quickly. She first heard about it at a CT directors meeting in late January, and initially the deadline was February 13th to learn that this grant even existed and then turn around and have it submitted. They did extend that deadline to February 23rd. The programs, so we were looking at adding the agriculture piece. So we know we have agriculture STEAM classes in our middle school, so we're looking at how we could expand that into the high school as well. So that's one of those expansion pieces that we could utilize this funding for. And then the other one is manufacturing engineering. So that would be an additional program that we could add. And that one, the way that particular one that they're approving the funding is for schools that are within a certain radius of, they call it a MIRA lab, which is Manufacturing and Engineering Education Reimagined for All, is what MIRA stands for. There is a MIRA lab in the Grand Rapids area, and they have just secured a site somewhere in Macomb County. We haven't been told exactly where it is, but with it being within the county, that would be our radius. We would qualify for that. So that could give us an opportunity to, again, add to our offerings and add manufacturing, engineering. I just want to add, I'm sure we'll share a lot more about it, but as Andrea was sharing with me what we could do with this manufacturing one, and I know she was talking about welding earlier, they have virtual welding. So you see the kids that do like the VR headsets to do their video games, they have that in these classroom labs for welding. And so they wear because it's difficult to set up a welding area and all the things that go with that, but they learn it virtually. And so they wear the headset and they have these, things that they hold on to and this little screen, and, it looks like they're really doing the welding, and they learn it virtually. But I guess that's the way they do it now with a lot of the teaching. So that's just one example. But again, hopefully we will hear in the near future that we've received the funding, and then from there we can talk more deeply about what we need to bring in and then how we could add that to our curriculum. So exciting, more to come. And then a quick update on 27L, that's that employee bonus funds, essentially, if you will, that the state's offering. So the last time we talked, we were still kind of waiting for a bit more information from the state on, how retirement was going to be, if it had to be pulled from it, how it would be utilized, could use the grant for it. So we have received, I think, all of those last lingering questions. We've received the answers to those. And so we are looking to start the negotiation process, because it is required to be negotiated with all of our bargaining groups. So we'll start that late February, early March, with the potential to bring that plan to the board by sometime in March or early April. Go ahead.
So it's a merit bonus type grant?
No, not merit,
I
so
thought that's what
just-
Julie said.
just bonus, just a bonus.
So you got to negotiate a bonus?
You do. So the things that you would negotiate would be, so the language of the grant itself says that you do need to offer it to bargaining units. Well, we know that we have some members of our staff that are not part of bargaining units. So every district that I've talked to so far, their stance is, and the union's stance as well, is that it should be for everyone. There's nothing that says you can't share it with other non-bargaining unit group members or staff members, I should
That's
say.
not how it's put out.
It's very vague. So it says you must include those bargaining members, you may include others. So we, in our preliminary conversations, it sounds like that would be what we would do. I can't speak definitively because we haven't negotiated yet. And again, I have not talked to anyone from any other district. I mean, this comes up at every superintendent meeting that's gone on in the last month. Everyone really is looking at it as this should be for everyone. Other things that the bargaining units, conversations could come up around, well, is it a percentage of your salary or is it just a straight amount? Is it, if you work half-time versus full-time, right? So all of those. Yes, and so again, some districts are paying it, some are putting it on the employees, some are splitting it, right? So those are the pieces of this that have to be negotiated.
And what was the whole point of doing this?
Why the state decided to do this?
What was the reason for it?
I think, yeah, I don't know, that makes them look great, right?
No one knows.
Here's an extra, few $100s to
So is it
covering up the years.
when it says must in May, so that the bargaining groups have to say that it's okay to give the money to them?
It's an election year.
What it is.
Who knows, right? So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty around this one, but ultimately we are required to get this funding out to the teachers, or not the teachers, but the staff.
Who drafted that bill, that grant, or who's the person?
I have it in my notes from last
Would you be able to?
I absolutely can, yeah. It wasn't near here, it wasn't somebody from our region. But yeah.
We're giving money to our teachers and staff. It's a little bonus. Oh, with a lot of strings, of course.
So it has to run through, say, somebody's tax. They have to be,
Yes, taxes don't have to be.
Okay.
Yep.
Then retirement.
Yes.
Yeah.
And retirement.
Retirement doesn't really care about structure.
If we did, yes.
So do we just have to go by the percentage of the retirement that we're currently?
Which is around 40-some%.
So if you if we figure out everybody gets $500, if we,
Then we would back the 40% out is typically what we would have to negotiate this, but
Right.
I can't think of any grant off the top of my head that we don't build the like and retirement into it. I mean, grant funds are typically, that's allowable, and so that's what districts do, is, you use that set aside chunk of it for that, and again, they are allowing that with this one, so that would be our typical stance.
we figure it's about, what, we were thinking maybe $500 right before spring break.
Right, I guess that's a good thing. It'll take us a little longer than that to get it.
Yeah,
out.
let's not throw anything out there.
I'm sorry.
It won't be, it won't be fast.
That was just a ballpark.
We really have until September 30th of 27 to pay that.
Oh, are you kidding?
So there's time to finish.
Oh, interesting.
Not sure we want to wait that long.
Right. Similarly,
Districts are not waiting that long, so.
yeah, most are looking at either end of this school year or as a startup at the beginning of next, is what I've heard. I don't think I've heard of anything else besides that so far.
So Sarah was able to pull up some
Act in Section 27L, and it says it is not contributed to a single sponsor, but is part of the annual budgetary process. So no one's name is on it.
No one wants their name on it.
Because they don't want to own it.
Thank you, Sarah. You're welcome.
All right.
27L.
27L, you are correct. And so, last Wednesday, the House Workforce and Education Committee continued testimony on House Bills 5310 through 5312. So these are the bills that are related to school of choice and that kind of updated framework that they're looking at. If passed, it would require all Michigan school districts to accept enrollment applications from non-resident students whenever seats are available. The 5310 portion modifies the State School Aid Act to establish statewide open enrollment beginning July 1st. The bill would require districts to accept non-resident student applications, limit enrollment caps to avoid two available seats only, would prohibit tuition charges, and assign special education responsibility to the enrolling district. The bill also includes continuity protections for currently enrolled students, annual capacity reporting requirements, and appeals process to the board. I'll kind of jump through all three of the pieces of the bill, and then I can answer questions or summarize it as well. House Bill 5311 amends the revised school code to address instances where a parent or guardian intentionally provides false enrollment information. The bill prohibits mid-year removal of a student and limits enrollment consequences to a future school year. And 5312 amends the revised school code to require school districts to admit non-resident pupils on or after July 1st of 2026, aligning statutory language with the proposed statewide open enrollment framework. So I will say that Macomb ISD had representation at the committee meeting to raise concerns about district capacity, local control, and the potential impacts on local districts. So we did have representation there to oppose these new restrictions that would be put on districts as far as how you can handle your school choice. You know, currently there are certainly rules, but there are a lot of pieces that are up to local control, and this is something that would change that and limit our ability to kind of us to limit how we limit school of choice students coming into the district essentially. And if there was reason for them to, you know, not be renewed, those pieces would be limited. Of course, we don't charge tuition, that wouldn't change. When we take a student, we do provide them special education services. So many pieces are things that we already do, but again, others are adding to that restriction. Hoping that one stays put. Another one, on January 30th, the Senate passed the funding package to keep the government functioning until the end of this fiscal year. So hopefully that's good news for us. And I mean, the reason that that's important for us, obviously we all experienced when the government shut down, you know, how much we do all feel the strain of that we might not even realize. But the good sign is that hopefully it will keep them on track with those expected timelines. If we would have closed now, I'm sure that immediately we would have started seeing, you know, those budgetary timelines, all those pieces would have started getting pushed back. So luckily for right now, we've avoided that. I'd say, you know, when we see how long it took them to get us our budget last year, as long as we can keep them on the job, the better. So hopefully this continues. And then our new superintendent of public instruction, Dr. Glenn Lako, appeared before the House Appropriations, Schools, Aid, and Department of Ed subcommittees this week, or this was last week. So that was his first committee hearing since taking the office. Some of his points of emphasis were collaborating with lawmakers in local districts. He previewed the statewide listening tour that he'll be going on, and he shared plans to update MDE's top 10 strategic education goals. A couple of those highlights that he's looking at strengthening are including increased use of and changes to the LETTERS program, which is a very common, very popular early reading program, which again, we have many teachers that are trained in it, and also our early literacy coach will be trained in that. Further weighting schools funding to address equity, closing gaps affecting students experiencing homelessness or those involved in the juvenile justice system, expanding learning opportunities with emphasis on summer programming, so fingers crossed that more money comes our way for that. Piloting more balanced statewide assessment systems and developing guidance for the frameworks for AI in schools. Continued investment in the CTE programs and improving aspects of the teacher credentialing system. And it looks like, and also hoping to codify the state's free school meals program. So it's a pretty lofty list of things he's working on, but I did have a chance to meet him at our superintendent's conference in January. I mean, he does seem like a very school, student, teacher-minded person, which is a good thing. So I'm hoping that that carries through.
What's his tour he's going on?
A listening tour, so where he would go and I haven't seen that schedule yet, I'm not sure where it's published, but where he would come in and basically we would be able to raise our concerns to him and he would listen to our concerns. So us getting to talk and him listen.
And how did he come up with this listening tour, like where he's going?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I can dig into that. Like I said, I haven't seen the list of locations yet. I'm sure it's out there, but I haven't seen it. And then I know it's kind of the one that we keep hinting at, and it is looking closer and closer to that cell phone bill being official. It's sitting on Governor Whitmer's desk right now. So if she puts that signature on it, it would pass. And then what we would be doing would be looking at kind of an increased rigorous as far as our cell phone policy starting next school year is what I would anticipate. Which again, I mean, we do have a policy. I kind of briefed it last year. They just enforce that you do have a policy. It should be no cell phone usage for that bell-to-bell instruction. Again, how you handle cell phone usage during an emergency or non-instructional time, you just have to have that as a policy in place. So, I think I envision us taking what we have in place already and then how do we take it, a couple steps further to ensure we're meeting the letter of this bill if that is what passes. So more to come, but I imagine we'll probably be talking about it as soon as an official change. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Can I add something to 27?
Sure.
Margaret's question is why are we getting it? And it says the purpose of the work project is to increase compensation for educators and offset normal costs associated with retiree health care benefits. So everybody has a withholding, had that 3% health care withholding. And so I think this is some way to compensate, yes.
But it's so
Except only if you're in a bargaining unit.
Well, it's not, it's at all bargaining members.
Has to be with them
Yes.
and made for everybody. And it's a one-time thing though,
It's a
right?
one-time thing, and it's
Just one time.
all bargaining members, and then they have a list, a description or a definition of educator, and it lists just about everybody. Custodian, bus drivers, food service, does not list technology, does not list central office, but any bargaining unit member. But then it says it's not limited to. So you could add, there could be more.
So you can give it to
Must give it to bargaining unit members.
Thanks for checking for us. Okay, next item on our agenda is items of interest from the board. Margaret?
I do not.
Sarah?
Just a quick question, I guess. So somebody asked me, is actually today, about the snowmobiles that are like driving on our property and if it's like tearing up the grass because it looks like it's kind of kicking up, like going beneath the snow. Do we know, is that all equipment?
I meant to ask Preston, I had a meeting with him this morning, and we had a situation come up while we were in our meeting together, and so we didn't get to finish, but that was on my list to ask him what he knows about that, so yes, I do have that on my list. I will get an answer for you tomorrow.
Okay.
Candace? Sandy?
I just want to say, or inform everybody, that I agreed to attend the legislative meetings in the county while Ray is away. Excuse me. And last month in January, something came up last minute for me. I wasn't able to make that meeting. And then Candace told me today that the meeting that's set for tomorrow has been canceled. So far I have nothing to report.
Why do they cancel them all the time? Does anybody know? Because don't they kind of seem to cancel them
They do,
a lot?
Joe does. So here's the email. We are canceling our legislative committee meeting for tomorrow evening. There has been very little activity since we had last met at the governor's budget, and the governor's budget will not be presented until Wednesday of this week. Before our March meeting, I will send you the budget documents from her presentation and any other relevant information. At our March meeting, we will discuss the recommendations.
Shouldn't you be getting those emails, not Candace?
Yeah, but I don't know that they know that.
Sandy's just doing it.
I'll reply.
I sent it to him.
Did you?
Would you just check with them again and
Okay.
make sure why they
Yeah.
keep sending it to Candace and not?
I
you're not
got
getting
this
it all?
I did not get
this
that
morning,
email.
today at 2:25. Joe DeVault.
I'll take care of it tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't have anything with this section. Okay, next item on our agenda is public comments. Since the last board meeting, the board has not received any emails, and there were no public comments that needed addressing from the last board meeting. At this time, any member of the public will have 3 minutes to address the board. Please sign in and state your name. If you wish to follow up, please provide contact information on the public comment sign-in sheet. Are there any public comments? Okay, being no public comments and having no further business, the board will adjourn at 8:55. Thank you, everyone. How was that for time?